In this video, we're going to review the Braille Screen Input feature, which is a nice way to introduce students to using the iPad or the iPhone, as they may already be familiar with how to write Braille using a manual Brailler. In order to use the Braille Screen Input, we would be using this as a substitute for maybe the on-screen keyboard, which can be a little challenging to use and not quite as quickly as you have to hunt and find by dragging your finger across the screen until you hear the correct letter. So in order to turn on the Braille Screen Input, we have to do a couple of things. And the first thing that we'll need to do is enable this feature within the VoiceOver Rotor Settings. In order to do that, we're going to just hit our home button one time and go over to Settings. And here in the Settings menu, we're going to select General and Accessibility and VoiceOver. Here in the VoiceOver menu, we'll go down to Rotor, and we will look for the setting of Braille Screen Input. Now, I already had mine enabled, so I'm going to turn it off. You'll see that the check box is no longer there. So to make sure it is on, I'm going to just turn it on by giving it a check. Now I'm going to turn off a couple of these rotor settings here, just to allow us some time to not have to turn the rotor so many times to change the way the feature of the rotor. So here we have got the rotor enabled here, so I'm going to minimize the screen and go back to our notes. And in order to turn on VoiceOver and use this Braille Screen Input feature, we're going to turn on VoiceOver. So the way that we can do that very quickly is by using our home button, as we've already set up the triple click home accessibility shortcuts. 1, 2, 3, I've hit the
notes, note, text field is editing.
Home button 3 times quickly.
Braille Screen Input is available as an alternative for visually impaired and blind users. Landscape, body, system font,
and I'll just make her
dark gray,
be quiet
natural alignment,
in a
indentation
moment.
level 0, insertion point at end.
Now here Voices tells us that we're at the end, and you can see that at the bottom of my screen is the on-screen keyboard, and typically in order to enter text, we would take our finger and drag it across the screen, and when we hear the letter that we want, we would simply double tap. Now this could be a little tedious, so in order to type a little faster and to give your students an opportunity to use skills they already know, such as how to write Braille, we're going to enable the Braille Screen Input. So in order to do that, we're going to take our index finger and our thumb and hold it down on the top of the screen as if we're going to be turning a dial, such as a locker combination. So we're going to turn that until we hear it say Braille Screen Input.
Headings, containers, Braille Screen Input.
And here we see Braille Screen Input, and at the bottom of the screen, we will hear our keys. So I'm going to start to type a few letters.
H, E, L, L, O.
And here, all I've done here is typed in the word hello, and I can just simply turn off that Braille Screen Input just by changing that rotor. And you can see here I very quickly entered the word hello simply by using the 6-dot Braille key entry that your students already may know. So just a couple of tricks in order to get your students excited about using the iPad and entering text more quickly.
10:18 a.m.